In this video, I'm going to take you through my 3-step method for crafting unique and exciting chord sequences on piano. By the end, you'll be able to break free from your familiar patterns and craft fresh, inspiring chord sequences that don't sound obvious or predictable. This video is part of the Piano Power Up series, the idea being that you watch the video and then head straight over to your piano to put everything into practice. We always have a timer for these videos. There it is, love doing that. Let's dive in. To get the most out of this lesson, don't forget to grab your free PDF cheat sheet which covers every step in the video. The link is in the video description, it's completely free. So the first step in this method is to work out what key you want to write a chord sequence in. Now I'm going to do this in the key of D. There's our D major scale. D major has 2 sharps. We've got an F sharp there, which is on the 3rd, and we've got a C sharp there on the 7th. So that's our home scale. And it's really important to have the home scale really secure under your fingers. It's going to make it so much easier later on when we come to kind of working out what chords we're going to be using and all that kind of thing. So I'd really recommend that. There's no particular reason why I've chosen D major. I've just kind of picked a key at random. But the great thing about this method is that you can do this in whatever key you like. So my best advice to you would be pick a key that you're really kind of secure in and you feel like you know really, really well. And you can work through this whole method in that key. The next stage is to create a right hand part, okay? This is going to be a repeated riff that just goes over and over through our chord sequence, okay? Something like this. Something that just keeps on repeating over and over. But I'm going to recommend that you use this shape. It's a D sus2. So if you were doing this in the key of F, for example, you'd use F sus2. I'm in the key of D, so I've got D sus2. And why is this a sus2 shape? Well, we've got the 5th down here, which is an A. We've got the root there, which is a D. We've got the 2, which is an E. And then we've just got another 5th up here, the A. So if I just kind of rearrange those notes, there's our D sus2. What we're going to do is we're going to come up with a little repeated riff, okay? And I kind of want it, I'm thinking about this sort of tempo. That's the tempo I'm going to take my particular kind of chord progression. You can pick whatever tempo you feel comfortable doing. And I'm going to come up with a kind of 16th note-y kind of pattern. When I say 16th note, it's this kind of sound. Decca, 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 decca. I don't have to play on all of the beats, but I can just kind of come up with something. So I really like that pattern. I think that's the one I'm going to use. All I'm doing is I'm just kind of creating my own pattern. So I went there, and then I'm back to the top. It's just like a repeated riff. But you can do whatever you want. So if you wanted to go, say, or I don't know, you know, this is where it begins to get really creative. Use those notes, but come up with a kind of 1-bar pattern that you can just play over and over. So we're now going to move on to step 3, which is to come up with a bass line that complements our right hand part, okay? So that's going to just kind of keep on repeating our right hand, and we're going to add something in our left hand that kind of gives this a different sound, okay? Different bass notes can make this right hand part sound different. I'm going to do this in 3 different levels, right? And I'm going to think about it in spice. You've got the mild note choices, the medium note choices, and the fiery note choices. Now, what you don't want to do is only pick the notes from one of those categories. You really want to mix them up because that's where it begins to get really interesting. So in the mild category, we've got 1, 4, and 5. By the way, there isn't anything wrong with mild note choices. So I'm kind of just doing this for a bit of fun, right? But so many songs are built off chords 1, 4, and 5, okay? But they're kind of quite obvious chords to go to in a key, right? And this whole video is about trying to get some more interesting note choices. So we might want to spice it up with a bit later, but we want to just make sure we've got these mild ones down. So chord 1, or like note 1 in the key of D, is a D. So that's one note choice we can choose. We've got 4, which is a G, and we've got 5, which is an A. So I could just come up with a sequence. That only uses those notes, 1, 4, and 5, okay? That's like our mild category, okay? So if you're doing this in a different key, work out what 1, 4, and 5 is in that key. Okay, that's the first place to start. Okay, get those under your fingers. Let's have a look at medium. So the medium note choices, the kind of medium options, are the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 6th. Okay, so in the key of D, for me, that would be an E, an F sharp, and a B. Now, do you hear? These sounds are just a little bit more kind of ambiguous than 1, 4, and 5, okay? There's 1, 4, and 5. Listen to the sound of that. Now listen to these kind of medium ones. A little bit richer, there's just a little bit more going on. So, I mean, I'm using the spice thing as a bit of fun, right? But it gives you an idea. Now, let's add some fiery ones in. And these are notes that are what we call chromatic to the key. In other words, they don't fit into the major scale. So I'm in the key of D. The notes I'm going to show you don't fit into that D major scale. We're going to flatten some of the notes in the scale. The first one is a flattened 3rd, which for me is an F natural. Just listen to that sound. Listen to how beautiful that is. Interestingly, it kind of sounds great on its own, but when you put it in the context of a major chord sequence, so if I was just using all the notes from the major scale in our other categories, then I go, it kind of creates this real richness having that flat 3 in there. So the next one is the flattened 6, which is there. So the regular 6 in the key of D would be a B, and we've just taken that down a semitone to a flat 6, which is a B flat. Listen to that sound. So beautiful. And we're now going to add in one more, which is a flattened 7, okay, which is a C natural. The regular 7 in a D major scale is a C sharp. We flatten that, it becomes a C natural. So we've now got 3 super spicy notes. Now, on their own, they don't sound too spicy. If you put them in a whole kind of chord progression with all of the other categories, they really sound rich. But here they are. The flat 3rd, F. The flat 6, which is a B flat. The flat 7, which is a C. There it is. So I've given you a bunch of different notes that you can use in your left hand, and you're probably thinking, how do I even go about putting all this together? Well, the secret is to play. And by play, I mean experiment, try things out, get creative, and most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I'm going to have a go at doing it now, right, to show you what I mean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my right hand going with that repeated pattern that I've come up with. Remember, you're going to come up with your own pattern. You're not going to copy my one. You're going to come up with your own, something really unique that you like. It might be really useful to have that cheat sheet in front of you, just so you can sort of follow along and have some kind of structure. But I'm just going to play my right hand part and vary the notes in my left hand. I'm just going to experiment. Ooh. I mean, I'm just playing around. I'm just seeing what happens. My biggest advice would be don't pre-plan too much what you're going to do. Just kind of see where your hand takes you. Maybe think, okay, I'm going to start on an E, but then I'm not going to plan it too much. I'm just going to see what happens. When you don't plan what you're going to do and you just kind of let things happen, you're more likely to discover new sounds that break you away from the familiar patterns you often find yourself playing. Now, I'm going to have a go at playing through a chord sequence that uses this method so you can kind of get an idea of what this sounds like in the context of a full piece of music. But I'm using exactly the method I've shown you. I've got the D sus2 triad in my right hand. I've got those mild note choices, okay, they're going to be in there. The medium ones as well, and also the fiery ones as well. They're kind of all mixed up I've actually included everything I'm playing as part of that download so you can follow along at home. But remember, the whole purpose of this is for you to create your own ideas. That's super, super important. Don't just copy what I'm doing, come up with your own thing. Okay, let's give it a go. Another go and vary up my right hand. Now, there was a lot going on there, particularly on that second time through, but I wanted to kind of give you an idea of where you can take this, right? I was doing some little improvising fills and all these kind of different things just to kind of vary it up and make it a little bit more creative. And that is what we're about on this channel, right? I don't want to be teaching you how to play specific songs by rote. I mean, there's so many channels out there that will do that stuff, and we kind of do elements of it a little bit. But the most important thing I'm trying to do here is teach you how to be creative. That's what I think people want to learn on this channel. I want to give you the skills to be able to sit down at the piano and kind of make your own thing up, or take someone else's ideas and put your own spin on them. I think that's what people want to learn. So if you're up for coming on this journey with me here on the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. There's so many more videos on the way. And if you're interested in learning how I play melodies and chords together in my right hand, which I was doing all the way through in that example, check out this video up here where I break down my full method for how I do that. Go give that video a click, and I'll see you over there.